Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So it's TJ. To my returning subscribers, thank you. To those who have not subscribed, please do it to subscribe. Okay, today I'm going to show you guys how to make this beautiful off-shoulder bustier dress with a trumpet sleeve. So people call it bell sleeve. It's still the same thing. So today I'm going to show you guys how I was able to achieve that. So if this is what you're interested in, then keep watching. Let's go. Okay, first of all, we're going to start with drafting the bustier. That's the half length, the half cut part of it. So that is what we are going to draft out. Now we're going to make use of our pattern paper for it. Remember I said this is an off-shoulder dress, okay? So for our measurement, we use the okay, for the half length we're about to cut, we'll be making use of our bust, which is 40, our bust circumference. Our bust point is 11, our half length is 17, our bust length is 14, our waist is 36 and a half, and our nipple to nipple is 8. Okay, to know the fabric or paper or pattern paper you are going to fold, what you're going to do is divide your biggest measurement into 4 and add like 5 inches. Okay, so now let's go. Now we're going to rule out a line. Now this line we're ruling out, this will stand as our starting point. This is our starting point. Remember we are starting with our half length, which is the bustier part of it. And remember we are drafting an off shoulder bustier. Okay, since it's an off shoulder, we're going to take out maybe 4 inches, 5 inches, 6 inches, depending on how low you want where you want the off shoulder to start. So now I'm going to do -5. I took out 5 inches. Okay, so when we do our -5, we mark out our half length, and I added 1 inch. That's for joining it to the down part of it. I added 1 inch, then we'll rule it out. Okay, so that's our half length plus the joining allowance. That's 1 inch joining allowance. Okay, please, whatever measurement you're taking, remember to take out the 5 inches. That'll start from your -5. Now we're going to take out mark our bust length, and our bust length is 14. So that is that. Then we rule it out. Okay, just like I'm doing, we rule it out. After our bust length, the next line we're going to rule now is we'll mark our bust point. Okay, so our bust point is 11. We'll mark it out. Okay, and we rule it. Please remember, as you're getting this as I'm marking out this point, remember that this is an off shoulder dress, so we are taking out our 5, the -5. If you are doing -6, then you use -6, but this one we are using -5. Okay, this is our bust point. So after the bust point, the next thing we are going to get now is our chest line. And for my chest line, I normally do the shoulder divided by 2. Whatever I get is what I use for my chest line, and that is what I just mark. Our shoulder is 16. When I divide it by 2, we have 8. So to get our 8, we have to minus our 5. That is what we just got. So that is our chest line. Then we mark it. Okay guys, we are done with our horizontal line. So now we're going to start marking out our vertical lines. We've marked our bust point, bust length, half length, and our chest line. So now what we're going to do now, we're going to go take our nipple to nipple, we'll divide it into two. And I told you guys our nipple to nipple is 8. When we divide it into two, we are having 4. Now I'm going to add half an inch to that 4. Okay, so that's whatever I get, I will mark it from my starting line. Now when we add half an inch to 4, we have 4.5. Then I'm going to mark 4.5 throughout, from the starting line to the chest line, to the bust point, to the bust length, and half length. So you see what I did? I just the 4.5. That was my bust point divided by 2 plus half an inch. That is what I added throughout. That is what I marked. I didn't remove anything. After that, I'll connect the lines. Okay, I'll connect the lines just like this. Okay, so this is it. So now after that, the next thing we're going to do, we're going to work on the down part. Okay, so let's work on the down part of our bustier, because what we're trying to do here now, we're trying to mark out our bustier. Okay, so now what we're going to do, we'll come down to this half length, we'll come down to this bust length, we'll go in by half an inch, we'll go to the half length, the same thing, we go in by half an inch from the center, then we go out by 2 inches. Okay, the same thing, 2 inches. You see what I just did? From the center, we went in by half an inch, and after that, from the other side, we went out by 2 inches. Then we're going to connect the lines. Now, this thing I just did now is on the bust length and the half length. Okay, so connect the lines just like I'm doing. Okay, so okay, I'm trying to make it the lines visible so that you guys can see it. So we're done with this side now. So the next thing we are going to do now is we're going to come to our bust point. When we get to our bust point, now I'm going to go up by half an inch and also go down by half an inch. Just watch what I'm going to do. That's our bust point. I'll go down by half an inch. Okay, see, I'll go down by half an inch, then I'll go up by half an inch. Now the reason for this is when I draw my curve, my bustier curve, so that it will be able to blend. You understand? So that the curve like the curve will be able to blend very well. Just watch and see what I'm talking about. Okay, now we're going to join that half inch from the bust length to that half an inch we just marked now. Just watch what I'm doing. You see the reason why I went down by half an inch? Okay, you see? So you see. Now, reason why I'm doing this so that the lines will be very visible. Okay. So, next thing we get our curve ruler. Now, from our bust length, we are going to draw a curve. Just see the way I place my curve ruler. We're going to draw a curve to the half an inch at the bust point. Now, this is to get our bustier. That's the cup. So you see what we are getting? You see that our bustier is already coming out. Okay, please, the reason why I'm shading this is so that it will be visible. Okay, now I'm making use of pen, not a marker. So now the next thing we're going to do, we're going to work on the upper part. Okay, then we're going to come to this our chest side. That's this our starting line. Okay, we're going to go out towards the center side by half an inch, and we'll go in by 1.5 inch. Yes, go in by 1.5 inch. Okay, so now we're going to connect this our half inch to the half inch on the bust point area. Remember that we came up by half inch on the bust point area, so we're going to connect it. See the one I'm doing with a straight line. We'll connect it to it, that half inch on the bust point area. Then after that, we'll also go to the 1.5 inch we went out on the chest line and connect it to the half inch on the bust point area also. See the way I'm doing it? Okay. So this is just to tighten the chest area. Okay, so that your bustier will look fine. So this is it. Okay. So our bustier is almost ready. So now what we're going to do, we're going to take our curve ruler, go to that bust point area, then we're going to blend it. We'll just blend it so that everything will blend. Okay, we're blending the lines. We're trying to make that place to be curvy. Okay, so just like this. So you see, now I'm shading it so that the lines will be visible for you guys to see. Okay, so this is it. Okay, so now, okay, it's time to add to take the body measurement. So now we're going to start with the waist. So what we're going to do here is the waist circumference divided by 4. So if your waist is 36 divided by 4, whatever it is your round waist is, that's the waist circumference, you divide it by 4. Whatever it you have is what you're going to mark. Okay, so now we've divided our waist into 4, then we mark it on the waist area. Okay, so after that, to our we add our that intake. Okay, so I think we have 2.5. Okay, so the 2.5 we removed, we're going to add it back. So after that, we now add our sewing allowance. So our sewing allowance, I'm adding 2.5 inches. If you want, you can add more than 2.5. You can add 3. You can add 2 inches, but please let it not be less than 2 inches. Okay, so the next thing, I'll go to my bust length. Now my bust length, I always do my under bust circumference divided by 4. So I'll divide my under bust circumference by 4. Whatever I have, I'm going to mark it. Okay, so after marking it, then I'll also check our replace our that intake with still the same 2.5. Okay, after that, we'll now add our sewing allowance, which is the 2.5 inches. Okay, so now the next thing is to go to our chest line. Yes, to get our round bust, that's the bust circumference. The same thing we did for other ones. We're going to divide it into 4. Whatever we have, we mark it. Also replace our dots. Okay, so after that, we add our sewing allowance. So this is what we have. So what we're going to do now, we're going to connect the lines together. Okay, we'll connect the lines together with our straight ruler. So then we'll come to our chest line. We get our shoulder divided by 2. We mark it. Okay, check our dart intake. We have to replace it. I think we have 2 inches here. Replace it back. Okay, so then after that, I added 1 inch for sewing. Please, I didn't add sewing allowance. The 2.5 inches I added are the bust point, the chest line, and the waistline. I didn't add it on the neck area. What I did on the neck area, I just added 1 inch sewing allowance. Please don't go and start adding 2.5 inches. So I added just 1 inch sewing allowance. Okay, so this is it. I'm connecting the lines. Okay, I'm done connecting the lines now. So I'm trying to shade it so that it will be very visible. I'm just trying to make it visible so that you guys can see it. Okay, remember what we are cutting is we're trying to make an off-shoulder bustier dress. So now we're going to mark our armhole. So take our curve ruler and connect. Okay, so now we're going to connect the lines just like I'm doing to get our armhole. Okay, just like this. So we're going to connect it like this to get our armhole. So now you see our bustier is almost ready. So the next thing we're going to do now is to get our neckline. Now depending on the kind of neckline you want, I want a sweetheart neckline. So what I did was, from the starting point, I went down by 2 inches. Yes, for my sweetheart neckline. I went down by 2 inches. So it depends on how deep you want your sweetheart to be, or the neckline you want. So if you want it deeper, like more exposed at that upper part, you can go in by 3 inches or 2.5, depending on what you want or what your client wants. So this is it. You just connect it to that place. So you see, so our bustier is almost ready. Now something happened here. Yes, I forgot to leave extra space at the upper part before marking out this bustier. Now look at the reason. You know, most times after making your bustier, you find out that the side is always longer than the center. Yes, of the front. Yes, we after when you are joining it. So what I do is this: after marking my bustier, I will check the side just like I'm doing. You see what I'm doing? I will check it from that up to the half length where it stopped. I will check it. Whatever I have there, I'll use it and cross check the center, that the center. Yes, so you see now it's longer than the center. So in order for us to complement it, for it to be equal, we are supposed to have an extra space at the upper part. I think I forgot to add that, so please forgive me for that. What I'll do is just to get a pattern paper, attach it at the upper part, and I will increase the length of the center side of the center front so that it will be equal to the side before I will now mark on my fabric. Okay, so that's just it. Okay, this is what I was talking about. I already added the extra pattern paper at the upper part. As you can see, look at it there. I just added maybe 2 inches. Yes, so I'll just extend it. So I'll just extend that line. I'll place my tape where the half length stop, then I will extend it just like I'm doing. So you see, I extended it, and I'll use my ruler to extend the line so that they will reach the same place. Okay, so this is it. Please, if you check your sanity code, no problem, but I doubt most times it's always the side is always longer than the center. Yes, so this is it. So you see, now we're going to have a new neckline, which I'm not going to cut out until when I'm done cutting the bustier. Like I'm done cutting out everything before I will mark out that new neckline. So that is it about that. So now we're just going to cut. Okay, so just cut it out. Then I went to the To that down part is optional. I just want to give it a little bit curve. I think I went up by just 1 inch. Yes, just to curve it. I don't want that side to be pointy when I'm joining the half length to the skirt part of the dress. Okay, I don't want it to be pointy. That's why I went up by just I went in by just 1 inch, and I made a nice curve there. So that is all. So now I'm just going to cut it out. These places I'm marking are the places we don't need. Yes, these are the unwanted places. We don't need it. Okay, so this is it. So I'll just take my scissors and cut it out. Please have it in mind, I said I'm not going to touch that neckline, that neck area. I'm not going to touch it until after cutting out, and I will not show you guys how we'll cut it. Okay, so now we are cutting out every other part. Yes, I'm trying to cut out the center front. Okay, just look at the way I'm cutting it. So you see, okay, so that is it. I'm just cutting out the excess we don't need. So that is it. We'll keep it by the side. Now we're going to cut out the center front. Yes, this is the center. Sorry, the side front. Sorry, I keep confusing myself. I'm sorry about that. We're going to cut out the side front. Okay, so this is it. Okay, now we are done with that. Okay, so now let's finish up the center front. So this is what the center front looks like. Remember, we extended it. So now we're going to cut out our new neckline. Remember, that was the old neckline we had before. So now we're trying to mark out our new neckline. So I'm trying to connect it. See what I'm doing? Okay, so we just cut. I just made little adjustments so that it will rhyme with that our new length. So this is what it looks like. This is what the center front looks like. So we are done with the front side of the bustier. Remember, this cloth has many parts. We are done with the front side of the bustier. Now we are going to cut the back. After the back, before we start talking about the skirt part of the dress. So please keep watching. So we're going to keep this aside and cut the back part of the half cut. Okay. Okay, now we're going to mark out our back panel. So our paper is already on fold. Remember, I told you to know the quantity or the wideness of paper or fabric you're supposed to fold. Your biggest measurement divided by 4, you add like 5 inches to it. So now we are marking our half length. Remember, this is an off shoulder, so we did our -5. We got our half length plus 1 inch sewing allowance. Then we mark it out. There's the back panel of the bustier we just finished cutting. So we'll mark it out. So after that, the next thing now is to, okay, I'm trying to make the lines very visible. So the next thing we're going to do now is to get our chest line. And remember, we still do our -5. We'll mark our chest line, which is 8. So mark it all through, then we connect with our ruler. Okay, so connect it this way. Okay, so that is it. Now remember we are this is an this is a back panel. So for the back panel we're supposed to have zip. It's supposed to be a zipper. So for my zipper I'm using 1.5 inch. I'm using 1.5 inch, so I'm going to mark 1.5 inch all through. Yeah, please you can do this before you start marking out other measurements, whichever way, but just mark out the 1.5 inch from the up to where the half length stops. That's for your zipper allowance. Okay, so just connect the lines. Okay, so this is it. So from that line, see where I place my tape. From that line, that zipper line, see where I place my tape, please. You mark out your shoulder divided by 2. Whatever you get, you mark it. Then you add 1 inch sewing allowance. Yes, added 1 inch sewing allowance. So this is it. Okay, so that is it for the shoulder. So now the next thing we are going to do, we'll go to the chest line and get our bust divided by 4. That's the bust circumference divided by 4. Whatever we get, we mark it there. Okay, so after marking it, we add our sewing allowance. I'm still adding the same 2.5 I added to the front panel. So that is it about that. So the next thing we're going to do now, we'll come to the waist area. That's half length, our waist divided by 4. Please, you see all our markings is starting from that line that indicates our zipper allowance. We're not starting from the beginning. Okay, so our waist divided by 4, we mark it. Then we add our 2.5 inch sewing allowance. Okay, then I added extra 1 inch for that. Yes, because I'm going to mark my dart on it. So I added extra 1 inch on the waistline for our dart intake. So you see, then I'll connect our lines. If you like, you can mark the dart on the pattern paper or maybe when you are sewing, but I'm going to mark it on the pattern paper to show you guys. Okay, so this is what we have. We've connected from the waistline to the chest line. We connected it. Now to get our dart intake, so okay, for the dart we are doing our bust span, which is our nipple to nipple. So our nipple to nipple is 4. That's 8 divided by 2, 4. I added 1/2 inch to it. That's 4.5. Then I'll draw a straight line to that our where our chest line stops, just like I did. Then I'll take in half inch from both sides. You see what I'm doing? From both sides I'm taking in half inch. So then I'll connect it to that chest line. Just see the way I'm doing it. I'll connect it to the chest line, that the straight line I already wrote, just like this. Okay, I'll do same thing to the other side. You can actually just mark this, and when you get your fabric you just sew it out, but for the purpose of this tutorial I'm just marking this out so that we can see. So this is our dart. This is what it looks like. Okay, please, the reason why I'm blending it is so that you guys can see, because I'm making use of pen and not marker. Okay, so I'm trying to make it bold enough for you to see. You don't need to do all this if you're marking direct on your fabric, even if it's pattern paper, as long as it's just for yourself. You don't need to do all this shading and shading, okay? So that's just it. So this is it. This is what it looks like. So the next thing we're going to do now is we're going to work on the zipper area. Yes, that zipper area. Now to avoid the zip bulging out after sewing, you know, there are some wears you will see at the back. You see that that zipper area is kind of puffy. So for us to avoid that, on this zipper side, this down part, we go in by half an inch, just half an inch. We mark it. So from that half an inch, we went in. Yes, went in by half an inch. We mark it. Then we are going to connect it just in slanted form. It won't be straight. Okay, back. See what I just did? So you see, this is the way it will look. Okay, so that is it about that. Now the next thing we're going to do now is to go to our upper part to work on our neckline and our armhole. Okay, so look at what I'm going to do. I'm just going to connect from that chest line to that our shoulder point. Yeah, this is off shoulder, but the shoulder is also needed. So you see the way I connected it. So the next thing now, we're working on our neckline. So now this neckline, depending on how deep you want it to be, if you want, you can come down by 3 inches. Maybe you just start from the chest line, depending on how deep you want it to be. Mine, I want it to be on that chest line. So you see what I'm doing? I'm trying to connect from that, where that armhole started from, to my chest line, because I want the whole of that back to be exposed till it gets to the chest line. So that is how deep I want my neckline to be. If you don't want yours to be that deep, no problem. You just make it how you want. If you want it more than that, no problem. So you see, this is how I want my neckline to be. So I'll just blend it into it. So that is it. Our back panel is ready. So that's just it. So all we have to do now is to just cut it out. As for the dart, I'm going to leave it that way because I'm going to dart it. Yes, I want to dart it. I don't want to eliminate the dart. I want to dart it. But if you want to eliminate the dart, you can cut it off, then cover it back. I don't know if you understand. Maybe I'll do a tutorial on how to do that. Okay, so now we're trying to cut it out. So you see, okay, now we'll cut out our neckline. Okay, so this is what it looks like. So you see, I told you I'm not touching that I made. Like, it's going to be that way. So this is what our back panel looks like. This is it. So now we are done with the half cut. But remember, in the front panel we did something. We made a little curve by the side of the half cut, so that we won't have a pointy side. So that same thing, we are going to do it also to this back panel. So this is it. That is what we are trying to do here. That curve we made, we just went up by just 1 inch. We went in by just 1 inch. That's by the side. Then we curve it out. Okay, so we are done with the upper part. So now we're going to cut out the skirt part of our dress. Okay, from what you are seeing here, this is the front and back. If you check, the front is the upper part, while the back one is the one, you see, I added 1 inch to it. How I got this was I divided my hip into 4, then I added like 3 inches or 4 inches depending. That's how I got this folding I have here. Yes, I've not started marking anything, but that's how I got this folding. Okay, and as for the length, I minus my half length. You know our half length, we already cut out our half length, so I minus my half length and I added like 3 inches. Now the 3 inches I added is for the lining turn up. Yes, I'm going to turn the down. Let me show you guys. Don't worry, as we go, we are going to see now. To get our measurement, we do our minus our half length, that's minus our 16 to get our full length. So that is where our full length is. We'll mark it. Just watch closely, please, to see what I'm doing. Please, this is the front and back I'm marking together. Now, that remaining allowance at that hem area, I'm going to fold it because I'll use it for turn up. Yes. So you see the way I folded it? I'll use it for turn up. This dress, after sewing it, the down part, I'm not going to fold it. I'll fold it while I'm turning the lining. Okay? So that is it. Now, the next thing I'm going to do, I'll still place my tape at that beginning. I'm still trying to make sure my full length is accurate. Okay? So this is it. Please, this is a 3/4 pencil gown, so I'm not adding anything to the full length. Yes, I didn't add anything. The allowance I left at the hem area is what I'm going to use to turn up the lining. We say we say we are doing lining turn up for it. I don't know if you guys understand me. Okay, so this is it. I'm trying to make sure what I have is correct, that are equal on all sides. Okay, so this is what we have. Okay, so we are good to go. We'll start taking our markings. Okay, now the next thing we are going to do now, we'll go to that waist area, then we get our hip line. Now our hip line is 9 inches. Now we'll place our tape from 1, we didn't do minus anything, from 1 to get our hip line. So that's what I'm just marking, which is 9 inches. Yes. Like I said, this is a 3/4 gown. It's not a very long pencil gown. To say we'll start talking about knee length and all that. No, it's just 3/4. It's just like a short pencil gown, okay? So after that, we get our waist circumference. That's our waist divided by 4. Whatever we have, we mark it on this our waistline. We add our 2.5 inches sewing allowance. So that is it. Okay, I added 1 inch for my dart intake. Now we go to our hip line. See that hip line? That's where we're going to get our hip circumference. So we'll do our hip circumference divided by 4. Whatever we have, we mark it. Then we add our 2.5 inch sewing allowance. If you notice, I didn't add any extra allowance for that. No, I didn't do that. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do, we'll go to the hem area. That's the down part. What I normally do here, I do my hip measurement minus 1 or 1.5, depending on how free you want it to be. Okay, you can do 1, you can do 1.5. So you see, I'm taking my hip measurement. Here we're having 13. That's plus the allowance and everything. Then I'll go down, place my tape. Whatever I get whatever I got on my hip line, I'm going to minus 1 or 1.5 inch. Why I'm making emphasis of this 1 or 1.5 inch is depending on how free you want that down part to be. Okay, so you just mark it. So that's all. So what we're going to do now is to connect our lines. I'm trying to cross check my measurements. Okay, so we are good to go. So the next thing I'm going to do now, I'm going to take our ruler and then I'll connect the lines. That's all. And our skirt is almost ready. Please remember, you saw the extra inch I left. The place I'm touching now, that's the place I left for our zipper allowance. That's for the back side. Okay, so now what we're going to do, we're going to connect our lines. Yes, please remember, like I said, we are cutting both the front and back together. So just connect our lines. Okay, so connect from the hem line to the hip line. If you have your hip curve, you can use it to connect the lines. Then from the hip line to the waist line. Okay, remember we added 1 inch to that waistline for our dart. Okay, so that is that. Okay, so this is what it looks like. Okay, now so when we come to the waistline, we want to mark our dart. Shows the same our 4.5 inches, which is our nipple to nipple divided by 2 plus 1/2 inch. Then went down by 4 inches. That's the length. How long we want the length and the dart to be. That's what I just marked. Okay, so that's it. Okay, so when you want to sew it, when you hold it like this is what we're talking about. This is what the dart will look like. Okay, so let me mark it out so that you guys will see. From both sides, you go in by 1/2 inch, the other side you come out by 1/2 inch. Just look at the way I'm doing it. Then you join it, you connect it to the dart leg. Okay, so this is how you're going to sew your dart. You see the way I held it? So that's just it. Okay, so that is it about that. So the next thing now, we're going to work on the zipper area for the back side. We'll work on the zipper area on the back side. I'm trying to make sure the fabric are still together, both the front and back, that are still equal. Okay, because I didn't pin it down. Please secure yours with a pin so that it won't always shift. Okay, I'm trying to cross check my measurements. Okay, to make sure that everything is still intact. Okay, so now I want to cut it out. Please have it in mind, we are cutting both the front and the back. You see what we are doing? We are cutting from the open side, the side that both the front and the back are open. That is where I'm cutting from. I'm not cutting from the side whereby one side is closed and one side is opened. No. Okay, so this is what we have. Then I'll go to that down part. I'm going to notch it. See that place I'm holding? I'll make a notch. Okay, now this notch will tell me where my measurement stops. You see how I opened it up? Now that notch should tell me where my my gown stop, that this is where it stops. Okay, I'm just trying to trim out this excess allowance because I want that side to be equal, both the front and the back. That's all. If yours is equal, there is no need trimming it out. Okay, so that's it about that. So I'll fold it in back. So now I want to work on this zipper side. Now see what I'm going to do. I want to notch where my zip starts from, where it's going to start from. That's what I notched. That's the back panel. Please, not the front and back. It's just the back panel that I notched, where my zipper will start from. So now what I'm going to do now just watch what I'm doing. I went up by 10 inches. I went up by 8 inches. You can go up by 10. You can go up by 9, depending on how open you want the slits to be. Now that is for the slit. Now remember, I told you guys my zipper allowance is 1.5, but I'm removing half inch from that hem area till I get to um that 10 inches or 8 inches, whichever one you took, where you want your slit to stop. See what I just did? You see what I did? Okay. You see what I did? I reduced the wideness on that slit area. Okay. I don't know if you guys understand, but just watch and see. You're going to understand what I'm doing. Remember, I added 1.5 inch throughout for my zipper allowance, but from the hem area to where I want the slit to stop, I removed half an inch. Just see it. I removed half an inch. Okay, so that is it. So that's the front panel and that's the back panel. I'm trying to mark so that I'll know the wrong side and the right side. So that's it about that. Okay, we are done with the down part of the gown. So now what next is we're going to cut our linings, our wording, I'll fuse our hairstay and all that and start sewing. So please, if you have not subscribed, please do wait to subscribe. If you've not like this video. So we're going to stop this part of the tutorial here. In the next video, I'm going to upload um the sewing tutorial. Yes, the sewing tutorial. I don't want it to be so long, so I'm going to stop this here. In the part 2, I'm going to show you guys how you cut your lining, how you're going to join it, how you're going to fix it, how you're going to join your bustier and all that. Thank you for watching. Thank you, and God bless you.